Good evening, sir. This is Officer Barkley with McLean County Sheriff's Department. Do you know why I pulled you over this evening?
I got no idea, officer.
Okay.
I don't know anything. What?
Okay, well, the reason I pulled you over is because you were swerving back there, and you crossed the double yellow line there on the curve, which is really dangerous. You been drinking this evening?
Just a sip. I mean, that's all. It's just a sip.
Just a sip, huh?
That's it.
Okay,
Just
all right.
one. I got.
All right, I'm going to have you blow into this breathalyzer. Blow really hard. Give it all you got. Oh my God!
What did I pass?
You shouldn't even be alive. You blew a 666.
Wow, is that a pass? Did I win?
Mother, man.
All right, having a little fun with that intro. I definitely like that one. It anytime I can involve my friends in doing those with me, that might be a fun contest one time to do an intro or something with me, because whenever I have people over here at the house, I usually rustle them into doing some for me. Say, hey, you got a second? Can you do a secretary voice, or like answering a phone, or because we do tons of fake commercials on the podcast. They're not usually in the best taste, so be wary if you go over there and check it out. But we've done tons of those, so these are kind of an offshoot of that. These are much cleaner, of course, but what I'm going to be doing, if you haven't already noticed, the video that came out this morning or this afternoon, the one I did on the case in Washington with that Travis was his last name, the dad on the run from three kids, three of his girls, 8 or 9, 8, and 5, something like that. Absolutely horrific. Kind of like a Chris Watts situation. So definitely appreciate the person in the comments yesterday, Joanne, that suggested that one. And it's not getting a lot of views, but I didn't think it would with this big Idaho 4 crowd. But if you have a minute, I pinned it up in the comments at the top. If you want to go watch the video, it's only 10 minutes long, but it just sets up the case, and it's sad, but then all these cases are sad, right? I mean, we're talking about the big M word, so everybody's going to have varying degrees of sadness. Some of us that watch this stuff a lot may be a little more jaded than the rest, but I think the longer you've been watching this and following true crime, I think you get kind of desensitized to it, as sad as that may be. But I'm looking here in the comments, and you see I'm looking in the comments. No more glasses, at least for right now. I didn't realize it when you go in for this cataract surgery. So if you're young and watching this is a prequel to your 50s and 60s. Is cataract surgery, but I didn't realize you pick, I want to be nearsighted or farsighted, and to do both, it's quite a bit more expensive. So I opted to just be nearsighted, which is what I was before. And for me, doing all the reading and computer work, it's nice not having to deal with the glasses, and I'll put them on to go drive if eventually I will be able to drive, but right now I can't. I'll have them for that kind of stuff, or if I'm going to watch like a play, or my kids, grandkids graduations, that sort of stuff. So we'll see. But right now, no glasses, and it does feel nice. It's at least 10 to 15 times a day that I go to grab my glasses that aren't there. It's kind of like the leg. People ask me, probably the most common question I get since I've had my lower leg amputated was, do you have the phantom pain? Is that real? And I would say for me, thankfully, it's not pain. It's just a phantom sensation that the leg and the foot are really there. And it's true. It's 100% true. I'll be sitting there and it feels like I got a shoe on, and I could feel the inside of the shoe, and I could feel what kind of shoe it probably is. And then I look and there's nothing there, and it's really, really strange, but it's very true. It doesn't upset me at all. I kind of find it cool that, I can remember my good old left foot and say, hey, we had some fun times. But I'm getting around good on the wheelchair right now. I got the prosthetic stuff in progress, and so I hope to be back 100% here very soon. Second eye surgery is the 16th, so getting stuff done, getting it knocked off the list. But good to see everybody. I'm just, like I said, letting people get settled in, so I'm not going through the meat of it with people still filing in. Let me see here. I have some notes here. Let's see. It's funny. I have all my notes in huge text because I couldn't see it. So now everything's gigantic. I don't need it this. All right. So when I went in to get my eye surgery done, some of you may know this from watching other videos or seeing posts and stuff I did. But when I went in to get this eye surgery on Monday, only I would, and pun intended, would get into a situation where it would become easily a chapter in the book I'm getting ready to write. It's a 10-minute procedure. I mean, it should have been bam, boom, gone. I was right up at the top of the list of the day of surgeries, of the cataract surgery. They probably had a dozen people waiting in the same room I was in. So there was a bunch of them in and out. 10 minutes is all it takes. So they got a nurse, and she's not able to get the IV going. My veins are shot from being in the hospital so much. I did chemo in 2001. My veins are just like, no more, no mas. So they put another nurse on it, and another 5 total nurses, 12 different pokes. It was insane. But they said, well, I was worried they were going to just send me home, but I had to have my eye. The eye stuff got so bad, and I really needed this done. So I wasn't leaving until I got it done. And they said, well, there is an alternative. We can do it without the anesthesia. And I'm like, all right, and they were pretty surprised. They said, okay, because they said most people say no way, but I wasn't leaving there without my left eye. So I went in there, and the doctor, confirmed that that's what I wanted to do. And he said he'd walk me through it. And they put the numbing drops like constantly in my eye. And then he did it. All I felt was pressure. I felt no pain whatsoever. The only pain I had that day were the 12 jabs I had all over my arms and my hands. So if you ever are in that situation and you're offered that, personally, when I go back next Monday, I'm going to tell them, just go ahead and put that anesthesia in the closet. Just put me down and let me do it that way again, because it was no big deal. And then I don't have to fast, because the Father's Day is the day before. And I don't want to be spending my Father's Day drinking broth. You know what I mean? So that's my plan. We'll see if they agree to that. But that's my plan. But anyway, so yeah, that was quite the story there to add to the book of just crazy stuff that's happened to me this past year. Now, rules, really the only rule is don't be a fool, don't be an ass, be respectful. They're obvious things. The fact they even have to say anything about it is sad, honestly. But I'm not talking about you guys, the good crowd that comes here to join in on these lives, but the the people that come in here just to bother us. So I get it, but got a couple of mods out there. I know Donna Lembo's here, ready to pounce. Catherine. So anybody wants to do that, they'll just put them in timeout, and then that'll be the end of it. So no worries there. We do our best to keep that stuff out of here. I don't badmouth other channels at all. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you about a channel today you probably never heard of that I'm going to be doing a collaboration with, and I'm going to give that to you later on, and I'll give you the the name so you can sign up, you become a subscriber, because this guy's doing some really good content. And we're about the same age, I think. And it's like the attitude thing, as you get older, you find yourself like not giving an F sometimes. And I can really relate to this dude. So I think that may be part of it. But anyway, I'll tell you about it. So stick around. I'll give you that as we go through. But if you're not a subscriber to this channel, make sure you do that, because we were just under or right at 13.7 thousand subscribers. So thank you to all the ones that already have done it. And if you haven't, maybe after this live today, you'll say, hey, I can't live another day without Murder Metal Mayhem in my life. And I would be completely in agreement with you. All right. I won't drive you nuts. They only allow us, I think, 3 posts a day. So YouTube puts a cap on that. So we don't even have an option, I don't believe, which is fine. I don't want to get crazy with it. But like the video, if you're watching it on replay or if you're watching it live, please give it a like and comment if you're watching it on video, on the replay. That would be cool, because it helps it get out there to more people. Now, it looks like I'm going to be okay without even looking at my phone for this, but I have it ready here if I do need to check the phone to be able to see your comments better. But honestly, the way they look right now, this room is very well lit, which normally was a killer for the cataracts. But since I only have it in the one eye, it doesn't bother me. It bothers me very little. And that's good. So, and the better light, it looks better on your end. So, or maybe not. I mean, I'm not the most handsome devil out there, so maybe having me in complete blackness might be better. Just listen to me. So, and I always get people that ask, hey, I want to throw a tip your way, go buy some coffee, or, whatever. Wax your head, whatever you need to do. And they always ask me how to do it. And I said, well, there's multiple ways. I put up a banner during the live where if you want to do any of that, that's fine. Obviously not expected, but if you do it, I appreciate it in advance. You can do it with a super chat. You can do it with a direct PayPal or Cash App. I have that info in the banner. But the super chat, 30% goes to YouTube, and that's still fine. Please don't. I'm just saying, so you know that the creator only gets 70% of those. The other two are 100%. And you get I got a new laptop. I told you about it. Now, so far so good. I'm knocking on wood. This camera on the older laptop has been fine. Now, here's my problem. I've got the laptop. I've been so busy between doing these videos and just the normal stuff I'm dealing with all these things wrong, is really nuts. And it's to the point where it's like 95% ready to go, but I have to do a few things and download a couple of programs that didn't transfer with just logging into Google. So I've got some setup stuff yet to do. And once that's done, this computer I'm on now will be a backup, and the other one will be the the primary, and I'm dying to know if the camera is any better or different. So we'll see. It's the same laptop, but just a version newer, and so I'm hoping it's an improvement, but we'll see. But hopefully by the next live, I've got that thing going, because it's annoying me. But I hope I don't cut out. If I do and the screen goes black, just hang tight. I may have to log back in again. That's how it was last time I did it, when there was a problem. But hopefully no problems. All right. We'll get that switch with the new laptop. That won't be an issue anymore. Now I'm going to be adding a new tier to the membership. I love naming stuff. I enjoy coming up with cool names and stuff. And I've been toying around with the name of the new tier. We got the Hornseye Club. Awesome. That's the one that we have now, the only one we have now. And then I want to do more for the members. So we're going to be offering a new tier, and it's going to be called the Mayhem Squad. And the Mayhem Squad is going to be cool. It'll be just like Horns High, but with more cool stuff. So if you're a Horns High member and you want to upgrade, I don't know how that works. I don't know if you just upgrade to the new one and the other one drops, but I know my wife was saying once you become a member, then you could do all the tiers below it. So it won't change for you. It'll only improve. And I'm going to keep the cost as low as I can. But YouTube does set limits to how low we can make them, and they also get 70% of that. So that's, or we get 70%, they get their 30. So that's how it works with the tiers. But it'll be soon, very soon, like within the next couple of weeks. I want to get some new merch ordered. I'm looking at ideas. I'd love to see some comments in the comments or chats about it. Mugs, refrigerator magnets, whatever it is you think would be cool. I'd like to do some, little stuff like that. And I definitely am going to do new shirts. Definitely doing new shirts. So that's a must, because the old shirt, officially out of it. I've got the last couple to send out, and then that's it. And then the only ones I'll have left are the zombie shirts, which is a matter of fact. I mean, the zombie shirts are unbelievable, and I've got some options and sizes too. But those are in full color, and I mean full color. I've never seen a shirt with that many colors in it. The printer was just really blown away at the artwork from Jeff Gaither on that. But we're all zombies, and it's really cool, and it's got the Murder Metal Mayhem on the back. But anyway, the old shirts are out. Definitely want to get some new ones in, and I'm thinking about doing a TeePublic. I know somebody that's done it, and that really opens it up to whatever you want it printed on. But like most of those things, the artist or the creator in this case won't get very much out of it, but promotion, but it won't be much of a revenue getter, because they take most of it. But they get it out there, and they can put it on anything you want. So that's a nice advantage of that. All right. Let's see here. Let me take a look. Anybody got anything? I'm seeing Catherine with stickers. Definitely stickers. Catherine, I'm thinking the ones that go in the back window, like the see-through ones. I thought that might be cool. Oh, Lucky's here. Very cool. What's up, brother? Can't believe Lucky sat down for 5 minutes. He's in one place. He's a busy dude. Very cool. Very cool. I'm just scanning the crowd. If anybody's got anything they want to talk about, bullet holes on bumper stickers. Yeah, that might be kind of cool. Or some singe marks from being too close to the flame, that kind of thing. That might be fun. Let's see here. Stickers and fridge magnets, says Lori Snowden. Very cool. Are you related to the Snowden that we all know? I mean, that's an interesting last name. It's not a common one. Yeah, it was last year. It was last year that Edward Snowden. Yeah. Yeah, the it was last year. I had a live going on, and it was there was a ton of people in there, and I saw somebody said something about is that Saeed, and it was the bushy eyebrow. Saeed was in the live chat. He wasn't in there long. He got out quick, but it was him. It was him because I had gotten an email from him too. Um, but he was in the chat. But I don't think he said much. I'm not saying that it's in a negative way, but it was pretty crazy to think that the guy from the Banfield with the bushy eyebrows is in my chat. You know, that was kind of wild. But yeah, pretty crazy stuff. We had a situation on the podcast actually right in the beginning. I mean, we weren't around for maybe a couple years, if that. And we did an episode on this guy named Tony Karate, which was a mobster, like a hitman. And he was an interesting character. And I read this book about him and watched a couple of docs. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. You know, we had done other gangsters and stuff before. So it was cool. And we did it and put it out. And I got contacted like, I don't know, maybe 6 months later by somebody that said, hey, I'm friends with Tommy Karate, and he didn't like your podcast that you did about him, and he wants you to change it. I was just like freaking out. Like, that's kind of crazy, you know? So I talked to the guy. He wanted to talk to me on the phone. I was like, nah, I don't want to be on the phone with him. So we messaged back and forth, and he told me what he wanted taken out, which was of all the things we talked about. I mean, the guy like hacking people up with a hacksaw in his bathtub and putting them in bags, or no, suitcases, I think was his thing. And then took them to Staten Island and buried them in this special, like, Indian burial place. And so that this way that they would never go get them. That the police wouldn't go in there and dig because it was this sacred Indian, you know, Native American, you know, burial place. So yeah, they didn't want any part of that. But yeah, so it's interesting to see, you know, some of the different characters that go through these podcasts we did, that this guy reaches out and didn't like him, even though we were telling all kinds of stuff like that. What he didn't like was that we said he had a squeaky voice, because the guy that wrote the book about him said that that's how his voice was, very squeaky. And so we were laughing about that while we did the podcast. And then that he didn't want to be known as a serial killer because he wasn't. He did it for hire, and he did it, as a job, and that wasn't his thing. And so I corrected it. He's correct. He was correct. We never called him a serial killer because he's not, because he was doing it for hire. Exactly. That takes you out of that game. And then the other thing about the squeaky voice, again, I mean, that wasn't on us. That was about the guy that wrote that book, you know. So anyway, that was eerie, because that was somebody that we did the podcast about. He was in federal prison in like Kentucky. I believe it was Kentucky. And for like, I don't know how many murdered, probably 50. I mean, at least. I mean, it was a lot. So, but you know, and we did that, and then it was cool, and you know, that is what it is. But it reaches people, you know. I mean, I've seen it before. You know, we don't see a lot of that stuff. But there's my friend Lucky. Hit that like button. Thanks, Lucky. Very, very cool. Yeah, me and Lucky, AR, we're going to be doing some stuff again. We're actually, the three of us are going to do a live. We're just got to iron out a date. We're going to do that soon. So we are going to let you know when that is as soon as we know. As soon as we know, then we'll let you know. But so far, no date set. All right, looking good here. Everybody's filtering in. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. Well, the first thing I wanted to talk about with you is the video that I did a couple days ago about the theory that came in from Carl. Carl's one of you. Carl is a guy comes here and watches the videos with us, and he always has such good comments, great stuff. And I've always asked him, please come on and do a video with me. I'd love to have you on here because he's so knowledgeable. But he doesn't want to, and that's okay. I mean, he just didn't respond, and that doesn't mean that's perfectly fine. Of course, I'm just glad he comes here. Oh, we got a new member, Lindsay 69. Very cool. Thank you, Lindsay. I appreciate that. Always good to have new members into the Horns High Club. Excellent. And so yeah, it's one of those things where you could just never predict it. So it's important to just remember that with these comments and stuff that you leave, these often do spawn into ideas. And when I saw this comment that Carl had left on a video I did, I was like, man, I always agree with his stuff, and I wanted to highlight it. I wanted to praise it because I think it's awesome that people are contributing. That's what I would have hoped doing this. The last thing I would have wanted was people not sharing ideas. This isn't just about what I think. This is about what we think. You guys are very influential on the direction that the ship is going. I mean, honestly, you guys are steering. I'm steering it, but I'm taking your advice in each year and listening to what you're saying. And sometimes I think people, have some good. Oh, there's Scott Metalhead. Hell yeah, man! Good to see you, my friend. So, people have just great ideas here. Very, very interesting. I've had many people tell me they find out more interesting stuff in the comments on my videos than they do in many others, which is very complimenting, of course, to you guys. So I wanted to give Carl some praise there, as well as showcase his ideas. So if you missed that video, go check it out. It was just a couple days ago that I did it. It might have been Friday night. I think I may have done it. So check that out if you missed it. It's a theory that as mine continues to evolve and tweak as we get closer to the finish line, so does Carl's. So we were kind of comparing. I read his and then kind of compared it to what I've been saying here on the channel, that you guys, come here to hear what I got to say. And so we, we'll do that and see what comes of it. Right. I mean, that's what's interesting is you get people batting ideas around. I'll bring it up. You guys throw it back. And we're kind of throwing this thing around the room and getting really, really good content from you. And you guys are awesome. That's just as simple as that. Looking here at the chat. Oh, I see Jen there, Mrs. A.R. Hayes. Very nice to see you, young lady. Excellent. Yeah, just it's cool. I appreciate it. Seeing here in the comments, somebody said I'm wonderful to listen to. That's nice. Very nice. Oh, that's Lindsay69 there, the one that just became a member. So that's good. I've had people say that before. I ask people always ask me if I've ever been on the radio before, and I haven't. But back when the internet radio first became a thing in the 90s, I did a radio called the Chopping Block. It was a heavy metal hour of just crunching metal. And I did that for several years. And then that kind of spawned into Murder Metal Mayhem, the podcast, that kind of was an offshoot of that. So I've been doing stuff like this forever, just in various forms. I'm from back in the old analog tape days when my first band recorded an album. We did it on analog tape, like they did back in the day. And then as, times evolved, you started going digital and recorded many digital albums with them. And then many digital albums with Low 12. So, I mean, I've been around this, this kind of stuff for a very long time. And it's neat to see it evolve. But, I can only stay up so much with the change, doing the best that I can, I guess, and enjoying it. And nice to seeing you guys here. But one of the things about Carl's, his ideas start at the beginning with the whole Eric Gower thing, because a lot of people have questions about that guy, the private driver, because I've suspected, I reported this in a video. I don't remember which one. It might have been, as a matter of fact, I know which one it was. It was the one about Maddie's black jacket. The name of the video had the black jacket in the title. Something like what about Maddie's black jacket or something like that. And in that video, I proposed that maybe Gower didn't drop them off at their house. Maybe he dropped them off by the fire hydrant there at the corner of King and Taylor, right there near the band field, right across the street from the band field. The same fire hydrant that undercover cop or group, the two, Tidsdale and Rosendahl, where they parked that white unmarked car right there. That's the same corner I'm talking about. It's a popular corner because when you get into, if you're driving like a bus or a big vehicle, I can imagine it would be a pain in the butt depending on how many cars are parked on the street, because there's like cars everywhere up in this little neighborhood. But it would be tough because it's all one way. So you'd have to it would be hard to get in and out of there with a bigger vehicle. And the way the place is constructed, there's no way out. You have to go all the way back the way you came in, and it's just a cluster. So that would have been a common place for people to get dropped off, I can imagine. I'll drop you off there because I don't want to get in that mess. Would be the way to go. And I think that was where the bus used to drop people off for the very same reason. So anyway, but yeah, so I think that that's an interesting point, because how did that black jacket get there? There's only a few ways. I mean, I've never heard, most of us never heard of anything confirmed in this case, but I don't believe I've ever heard anything definitive about the black jacket. I mean, they grabbed that, whatever they grabbed out of the pocket, and then threw it down to the ground. Or I don't know, maybe they bagged the jacket too. But I'm guessing, because if they're not going to check the damn DNA under her fingernails, they're not going to check her black jacket thrown in the dirt. I mean, let's be honest. This was the shoddiest, most ridiculous investigation I've ever even seen. I mean, this is like the Keystone Cops on acid. I mean, these guys are out of control over there. Completely out of control. I'm just blown away at it. I mean, I've interviewed an Australian police officer last year, my friend Mick, and he was just like shaking his head at all the stuff we were talking about that they've been doing as the investigation has gone on. And he's been on many of those type of investigations, if you get my drift. And he said that there was just a joke, and the DNA was completely useless. He said in his country they would throw it out. They wouldn't let him use it because it was only transfer DNA and it's on a removable object, so it doesn't count. Our own U.S. military says it doesn't count. Our own U.S. military, most states don't believe it should count. But yet, that's what's putting this guy in a chair in front of a firing squad. That's messed up. And whether you think the guy's guilty or not, I honestly don't think it should matter at this point, because nobody knows whether he's guilty or not other than him, because nobody else survived it, so we don't know. And so and there's been no definitive anything other than the speck of DNA on the sheath. That's it. That's the only thing that they're hanging their hat on. But I'm going to tell you what, here in this live, I got a comment or an email from somebody who was throwing some pretty interesting stuff at me. And one thing in particular I've never heard brought up in this investigation. I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to bring it up here in a minute, and it's going to blow some people's minds, because it blew my mind when I thought, how did this not come up in the conversation? So you wait for that. I'm not just teasing you. I'm telling you the truth. I've never thought of this. I'm assuming a lot of you have not thought of this either. I never seen a video of this ever mentioned once. Now, have I watched every Idaho 4 video? No, but I've watched a ton of them. Okay. So that, the theory really hinges on the private driver, Eric Gower, because his version of the story is at 156, he drops him off and he doesn't go up. He didn't see them go inside. He made it a point to say he didn't see them go inside. So that's interesting. He actually said, I didn't see him go in. I just drove off. The guy is a walking contradiction. First of all, he says the reason why he didn't pull into that little parking lot there is because the area is dangerous and he didn't want to get carjacked. Dude, give me a break, man. I mean, you're in a college town like that. The worst thing that's going to happen is somebody's going to, take your money and go buy some weed and more pizza and beer. I mean, this is ridiculous. So then he says he just dropped him off at the street. Oh, okay. So nice guy. You let them walk through this supposed horror show of danger while you puss out and sit out on the street, and then don't even have the nuts to let them make sure that you see them go into the house. You just drive off. I mean, come on, dude. I mean, that guy, that guy's just ridiculous. So that's questionable beyond all compare. So that's why I don't feel that it's at a place to think that they never made it to that house alive, that they may have met their end at near the fire hydrant. Because if you look at any video of like the Banfield, when they show that angle from the fire hydrant up toward the house with the stairs and everything there, it's pretty dark over there on the left side where there's the trees and everything. It's pretty dark over there. And I think it was Bubbly Waters did a video on that. I'm pretty sure it was her. was either her or Huda or both, maybe. They do a lot of stuff around the same time, it seems. But anyway, there was somebody that did video about some people feel that you could tell there were people in the woods waiting. And that's exactly what I said in my video, that you could have had a squad of people in those woods with dark clothes on, just hunched down, and Goer drops them off. I mean, it could have been like, I mean, I keep saying lambs to the slaughter in my theories, but there you go. I mean, literally leading the lambs to the slaughter. I mean, absolutely terrible. And that may be where it all started, you know. And then, you know, the theory goes on to say that, you know, they were, you know, scooped up into those, you know, I've heard others speculate, you know, that they were, you know, taken to like one of those apartments right over there across the street from the house, which is where they took their final picture, the one with Maddie up on was it Maddie or Kaylee's shoulders, that picture there. And so I don't know, you know, if there's anything other than a hunch there or what. I'm not sure, but I have heard that before. That's the thing with this case. There's always some new stuff coming in, and you're not sure, you know, what's new and what's rumor, what's truth, what's this. I mean, at this point, all we know are rumors, speculation, and a handful of facts, and we're doing the best that we can. It would be really nice to get, you know, more info, more stuff released. I mean, it's just amazing how much this story has changed with each release of information. But yeah, but going back to Carl's stuff, I mean, he and I are very, very similar. We think that, and he goes minute by minute in his theory, which is kind of cool. He talks about when he thinks that Xana and Ethan were attacked, which is early. I think he was saying, 2:00? I'm getting my theories mixed up. I know, because I watched this thing about another theory, and I don't want to confuse the two. And unfortunately, my necrotizing fasciitis brain has not quite caught up yet to my mouth, so I better be careful. But Carl's got an interesting theory that goes minute by minute, and it jives directly with mine. So I should be safe in saying that I think it was about 2:10 that Xana and Ethan were attacked, and then they, you know, Kaylee and Maddie could hear the commotion, and they're trying to call Jack frantically at 2:26. They start calling. So from like 2:10 to 2:26 is when they think that Ethan and Xana were taken out, and then they waited, or, you know, another group came in. We don't know that part of it, but then upstairs was attacked at 2:53, and we know that Jack was called multiple times, not answering. Now, in a I'm not sure if it was again, I've been reading multiple theories here, so I don't want to get it wrong, but let me just say, in general, here's a thought that I had a while ago, is how do we know that that was them trying to call Jack and not Jack trying to call himself, or some combination of that, right? We all take it upon face value, you know, that those calls to Jack were, you know, missed calls. Was that not orchestrated? Was that not part of the scheme of setting this whole thing up? Because whoever organized this thing, as goofy as it is for us to try to figure it out on the fly, I think had some smarts about the way they did what they did. And in this theory I'm working on, that I've been recently found some information I didn't know about. that I think does play a major part in the potential outcome. And I'll be completely honest with you, in this new theory that I'm working on, I could see, and I'm probably going to get some people all wound up, but I could see the potential for Brian Koberger's involvement and Brian Koberger's how he became the patsy. And I'm working on this thing, but I'm telling you, I think this could be closer to the truth than I've got yet. I'm not saying for sure Brian's involved. I'm just saying that those words, I know he said them not before he was Mirandized, so they're not counting it as part of the record or anything. But when the guy asks, is anybody else arrested? That's an odd thing to ask. Like why would you ask that unless there were other people? I mean, I know he's got, issues with his mental issues going on, the autism spectrum disorder. Sorry. And so if that's the case, then, maybe that would be a just blurting out just a strange question would be part of that condition, possibly. I don't know, but that just seems like an odd thing to ask. And it makes me wonder, were there other people? And if that's so, what does that mean? I'm thinking that he may not have even been on site to do what I think he could have done. And then that's how he somehow was involved. But there were other people doing stuff far worse, obviously. So anyway, I won't spoil that. I'll give you that little bit of a tease, but I think that it's perfectly feasible. That's the thing. You need to keep your eyes open to as many theories and as many ideas and stuff as possible. I get sometimes criticized because some people don't like the way I theorize about or speculate about stuff. And hey, if you don't like it, go watch. I tell them in the comments, go watch, cat videos or babies farting or something other than what you're watching, because if it's upsetting you, then go somewhere else. Because that's what I do. I speculate, I theorize, whatever you want to call it, and I give you my ideas. And if you guys agree with me, if you agree, if you don't, you don't. But we could still be civil with each other, and most of you are. Most of you are. Unfortunately, there's got to be a few, just fools in there that just want to be difficult. And, it is what it is, I'm looking here at the chat, see if anybody's got any questions. Did you used to work or own a used bookstore in Phoenix? Did you used to work or own a used bookstore in Phoenix? No, Sharp. I have never owned a used bookstore anywhere, but not in Phoenix. Too hot there. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't. I'm not a hot, crazy hot environment person. Nor am I anymore a cold person. So I'm just getting crushed here in the Midwest. But no, that's not me. Somebody different. Thanks. All right, let's see here. Just going through. Oh, here I see Carl in the chat. Excellent, Carl, my friend. Yeah, he like I said, he's posted some good stuff here all the time. The big clue, the unknown male DNA in Maddie's fingernails. I mean, I honestly, if that is legal, I'm assuming it is, but if it's legal on any homicide case to not test every single strand of DNA, then that is criminal in and of itself. Absolutely criminal. That's ridiculous. Now let's pile one layer higher on this whole mess. Let's make it a death penalty case. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? It just blows my mind how you could not make that a requirement. How are they not testing DNA under a victim's fingernails? A female victim's fingernails at that. Absolutely unbelievable. Unbelievable. There is, if they are claiming that they are for truth and to solve this case, they're full of shit. I'm telling you right now, they're full of shit because they're not. That right there, they're not. Because if you were, you would test it. Why wouldn't you test it? Let me see. To maybe prove that, one of your buddies wasn't maybe in there. Or maybe one of your buddies wasn't being a little close with one of those girls in there. Right? We don't know. I mean, Maddie's boyfriend was out of town. Just saying. Just saying. So, and then Maddie's call to Bethany at 2:53. Yeah, I mentioned these calls, these frantic calls, and they end at 2:53 with that one. And that always blew my mind. What could they what would Maddie be calling Bethany about in this flurry of phone calls right up to the end? Quite literally the end. Because right after this, Carl theorizes as well as I that that's when it happened with the girls upstairs. 2:53 to 3:12 or 3:11-ish. Would give them a chance to do what they had to do, quickly take off outer layers, halfway clean up in case somebody saw them, and make a run back to Greek Row, walking and running along the horizon there at 3:12 a.m., heading from King Road right to the Sigma Chi house or in that neck of the woods. That sounds like a pretty legitimate scenario of how this thing probably went down. I mean, it's kind of a combination of lots of things, right, Carl? I mean, the 4chan stuff. The 4chan stuff, 19 minutes. 4chan said 19 minutes from beginning to end, including the walk over. But that wouldn't include the stuff earlier with Ethan and Xana. It's odd. I mean, it's beyond odd for there to be two separate issues with each, one with one couple, one with the other on the same night. I mean, what are the odds of that? So it's got to be some sort of combination, but they were handled separately. But 4chan is addressing the third floor attack. So maybe it was a separate group that did the second floor than the third. I've always said that would seem to make the most sense. Another thing that I think makes a lot of sense is getting them all gathered in the living room. I mean, if this was over party favors and cash, what I see going on is I see him taking them all up out of bed, wake up, zip tying them, blindfolding them, maybe not blindfolding them. What's the difference? They're not living through it. Something to quiet them down, though, gag them at least, so it wasn't too loud. And then get whatever they had to get. They were there to get the party favors or the cash or both, or people are going to start dying. And maybe Maddie was the first one. That's why she didn't have any defense type wounds. And then maybe things got crazy from there. It's certainly possible. But the reason why I think the centralized grouping makes sense. Is it's easier to keep tabs on them, because how many people did they have as lookouts? There had to be some lookouts. Now, some people speculate the lookouts could be the three kids walking across the band field, the big drinkers. That was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, is cop reprimanding the kids about drinking. And, I wasn't, I drank responsibly. I wasn't falling all over the place. And I'm thinking, falling all over the place? They weren't falling all over the place. They're the three most sober drunks I've ever seen in my life. I mean, come on with this guy. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? And then he's chastising these kids for not like respecting him or whatever as a cop. Meanwhile, he was dressed in black at 3:00 in the morning. I mean, I think they'd be foolish to stop and engage the guy anyway. I mean, you wouldn't do that. You would be like, I'm getting the hell out of here. I don't know who this dude is. Meanwhile, he's a cop in undercover clothes and in an undercover car for alcohol infringements. I mean, that's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. So that was a total setup. And I know Carl and his theory agreed with that. So like I said, we were really in lockstep through that whole thing. I think his times make perfect sense to me. So like I said, go check that out if you're into legitimate theories, things that work. Now, some people have ribbed me about some of my speculations that they are out there. The whole, did 400 people watch this live? Never said that. Yes, that was the headline on the thumbnail, but I did that because that's what Ann Taylor had said, that there were 400 witnesses. So I knew the 400 thing was on people's minds, and I knew that would definitely get their attention. Now, I didn't mean that I thought all 400 were people that watched it. I wouldn't doubt that it was maybe a group of 20 or 30, maybe 50. Could have been thousands, though. We don't know. These sororities and fraternities are sick, twisted places. I mean, my God. Ridiculous. I mean, just totally ridiculous that they let this stuff go on. These parents paying the amount of money that they pay these colleges and universities, and then to have them being, exposed to that kind of crap. And what even blows my mind more is that a lot of them are fathers sending sons to the one that they went to, the school they went to, and the frat that they joined, knowing good and well what the hell goes on there. I mean, my God. I mean, it's awful. I mean, I don't even know why anybody would subject themselves to it. I mean, seriously, I don't need friends that damn bad. I mean, that's just, no, I don't think so. So I don't know, what to make of it. I don't know what to make of it, but I think that, with this case, there's so many different angles, and there's so many different ways you can look at it, and, I don't know if the frat guys would have had I don't know. I could definitely see him doing the first one, but the way that the 4chan stuff is written, it's like they did the second one. So I'm still on the fence on it. Nothing is certain, that's for sure. Yeah, here's a good one, Roy. Nice. Gower seems like a wuss for not making sure those girls were safe. Yeah, that's ridiculous. The whole point of that guy's existence, from what I've read, doing that job, if you want to call it a job, was he worked for an organization that provided rides to the sorority girls on the weekends when they were out drinking. And it was intended to, slow down the drunk driving. Great cause. Makes perfect sense. But, if that was his purpose, is to keep them safe from drunk driving, then why would you let them off in the hood if that's what you're saying it is? We all know it's not, but that's what he was claiming. Claims that in one interview, but then in another interview, he didn't want to go in there himself, and then the other one was he just dropped them off. It's some goofy, it just didn't make any damn sense, like most things with this. But I would agree with Roy that was a wuss move. I mean, guys don't do that. So that's not how I was raised. That's for damn sure. All right, let's see here. Got anybody else? I'm scanning the crowd. Hey, Justine, what's up? Justine Cooper in Australia. She says in Australia, girls would be charged with manslaughter. Are you talking about the roommate, the Dylan and Bethany? Is that what you're talking about, Justine? I'm not sure. I just plucked you out of the chat, so you could have been responding to somebody else. I'm not sure there what you said. Let me keep looking. All right. Oh, the 8-hour delay. It's great to see everybody in the comments, though. You guys are so cool. Here he is again, Mr. Carl Thomas. If Gower returned to the house after Dylan's 2:10 a.m. call, makes him a top suspect. I agree. I honestly think that that's exactly what happened, that she called him and that she wanted a ride out of there, either out of the house or she was never even in the house in the first place. But I think they needed somebody in the house up until game time, because you would have needed somebody to keep people from like showing up. This is a party house. There was a home game. Like, I can't believe there's nobody in this damn house. I don't know if they said that somebody had herpes and that's why everybody stayed home. I'm not sure what happened, but there's nobody in there. And I don't think you could do that if the house is completely empty. I think you'd walk in, because I used to live in a pretty party friendly apartment, let's put it that way. And we had people all the time showing up at all kinds of crazy times. So I think you'd almost have to have somebody there to weed that stuff out, keep people gone, so that this way your lambs were led right to the slaughter. The 4 people that were supposed to be there were there, and you're turning the keys over to the next. And at 2:10, Gower comes and picks her up. That's what I'm suspecting is the case here. That's what I'm suspecting is the case here. Very good, Carl. Always good stuff from Carl. See here, Spaz McGee said the FBI edited lots of the Linda Lane footage. I know that's the problem I have with any of that stuff. I can't. First of all, my mind starts turning to oatmeal after 10 minutes of it. I just don't have that like super attention to detail that, but I always mention Bubbly Waters and Huda. They're really good at that stuff. Lana's really good, Jewels of All Trades. There's people that are really good at picking out those details. I'm not. I'm just not. So, and then I've just never been, interested enough in it to want to sit there through it. And when I have given time to try to hear what they say that's there, I don't hear it. So I just kind of turn off when I hear that stuff. And then hearing that a lot of it's jacked with and edited, well, if that's the case, then what the hell's the point of listening to it? Because I mean, I've been doing audio for 30 years, and I could guarantee you, I mean, I could make all kinds of voices and sounds you hear in the background that would sound like they were really there. It's not hard to do, honestly, not with digital. So, yeah, that's a good point, Spaz. Good point. Yeah, what a fantastic here. Tony Stevenson says, what a fantastic safety driver. A trusted family friend. Yeah, Tony. Trusted family friend like that who needs enemies, right? And that's what Steve G said. He was a trusted family friend. Like, where did that come from? And strangely enough, that's never been spoken of again. Like, what was that even about? That just was very odd. I mean, everything in this case doesn't make any sense. Everything. It just seems people react to ways that don't make sense to us, I think, because we're not knowing of the full picture. So I think that's the problem. I think there's something about this that's going to flip it all the way on its ear at some point if, and that's a huge if, we're ever entitled to hear how it ends and how it really went down. If we ever get that chance, it could be one of those, mysteries that endure time, right? Like the Black Dahlia murder or cases like that just never get solved. Jack the Ripper. There's plenty of them you could name. So this could be another one of those. But yeah, I think it's interesting to bring that up. That Steve G did say that he was a trusted family friend. Yeah, what a friend. So, and then Teresa adds this. He took like 3 days, I think it was a week, off of work, so distraught. Meanwhile, he didn't really know. The one time you interviewed him, he didn't really know the girls. And then the next time he knew them, they were like this family friend. Well, if he was a family friend, he obviously would have known Kaylee. And if he knew Kaylee, he would have known Maddie, because they were inseparable. So somebody's full of crap. It's just like the blood. It's either there or it's not. It wasn't there at 12 o'clock when you called 911 and acted like, everybody was having a little sleepover and somebody drank too much Kool-Aid the night before. I mean, come on. It's ridiculous. It just doesn't make any sense. None of this makes any sense. That's why it has to be something to just flip it up on its ear like that. Yeah, I'm scanning through the comments here. My mouse wants to cooperate with me. Oh, there we go. All right. Yeah, here's a good one from Catherine S. Speaking the truth. What a puss of a man to be too afraid to drive the girls up to the house. Something very odd about that. Oh, yeah. I mean, if he was that big of a puss and then to admit it, he's just an idiot. I mean, it just makes no sense. That neighborhood there was nothing wrong with that neighborhood. I've had to go to some bad neighborhoods with my old job. I could talk to him about some bad neighborhoods. That was far from a bad neighborhood. Come on. That's just ridiculous. Hey, there's my mom. Mom, you see your name in big letters there on the TV screen. There you go. Hello, Mom. It's so nice that my mom comes and hangs out in the lives with us. It's really cool. Definitely very cool. she's the one that her and my dad both is how I got into true crime. Oh, my mom's getting people saying hello to her. She's a celebrity. She got her 15 minutes of fame here. She deserves it. She says, "Hi, Scott the metalhead, all the way from the UK." That's awesome. That's awesome. My mom's a big Queen fan, so she's pretty hip. She's pretty hip, and she's from the Bronx. So that means she's not going to take any garbage. She's not going to take any garbage. Here's Carl again. I can't pass Carl up. Carl says Maddie told Adam everything. I wonder what Maddie and Kaylee told the rideshare driver Eric Gower. Yeah, that would be a good thing to know. He, of course, said it was some mundane kind of conversation that didn't, just like small talk type stuff. But I don't know. I mean, especially if he knew where they were going and what was going to go down. I mean, I do think that he was meant to be there to pick them up, to have control over where they went, and then took them straight into wherever they were going to be attacked, whether it be at the house or at the corner of Taylor and King. One of the two. I think the Taylor and King thing is making more sense to me the more I say it, because that jacket was there. I mean, why else would the jacket be there? Would somebody have taken her jacket and thrown it over there? Why would you do that? Unless you were trying to set up the frat boys, which is very possible. I wouldn't. That's the thing. You say something enough in Idaho 4, it could be true. So how do we know that somebody wasn't being slick? Maybe somebody that was there for party favors and money, and wanted to make it look suspicious that this jacket was on the way from King Road toward Greek Row. Because we know that the cops were there at Greek Row right out of the box. That was like the first place they went. And then they were quickly shooed away. I'm sure Scott Green probably told him, go somewhere else, because we don't need you getting the fraternities upset. We can't stop that cash coming in. Those donations mean a lot. That's what I think about that. I think there's a lot of questions there with how all that happened. So many questions. Looking at the comments here. Here's a really good question, Spaz. My wife has brought this up as well, and myself, but she's mostly been the one bringing it up, and I think she's right. How did the two girls end up in the same single bed in the tiniest room? Kaylee's room was much bigger, and she had a double bed and much less clutter. Makes no sense. I agree. I think the writer in me could think of a bunch of scenarios of how that could have been. They could have been in separate rooms. And then when the noises started, Kaylee got up and locked Murphy in her room so he wouldn't get in the middle of it. And then Kaylee went into Maddie's room for whatever reason. I don't know why Maddie didn't come to Kaylee's room. Not really sure there, but it could have gone either way. Flip of the coin, really. But to keep the dog in one room, I guess that would make sense. You'd lock the dog in her room and then go over to Maddie's room, and then they were both together because they could hear it. I mean, if it goes down like I and Carl both suspect, there'd have been like some hellacious noises coming out of that second floor room. I mean, pretty gnarly stuff. So they would have been hearing all sorts of bad sounds, and they would have known something was coming, and that's why they were trying to call Jack. And like I said, how do we know that, this whole thing could have been done at a different time, a little earlier even? 12:30, I think, was the last sign of life from Xana of the text to her dad. And after that, I mean, it could have started right then. I mean, that could have happened that early, I mean, that's the thing, is we're all hell bent on this 4 o'clock thing, but we're only getting that 4 o'clock thing from some girl that claims she drank a gallon of alcohol and fruit juice, and then 12, White Claws and some wine and some other, I mean, ridiculous. The mimosas in the morning. Yeah, we can't forget the mimosas. So, yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous to even take any word that she says for any truth whatsoever. I mean, it should be so. But we're hanging our hat on that 4 o'clock. I'm not saying everybody. I'm just saying a lot of people. And I'm thinking more like between 2 and 3. And I think that to me that makes the most sense, at least right now, for what I know. So, but I agree with you, Spaz. I mean, the other option would have been, Kaylee heard Maddie being attacked, and she went in to try to save her, and she got it too. And maybe that's why she got it worse. Who knows? I doubt that, though. I mean, I guess it's certainly possible. It's certainly possible. But, I had heard at one time that Kaylee had her furniture and stuff there, but there wasn't like sheets. There was like, not all her stuff was there, which could have been a reason why she just crashed in Maddie's bed, and they were drunk. They were just like, you know what? I don't care. I don't want to deal with making this bed. I'm moving tomorrow. Like, I'm out of here, So that perfectly feasible that could have gone that way too. Lots of different options with it. Lots of different options. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good questions as always, guys. You guys are awesome. If you haven't liked the video yet, please do that. And if you're not a subscriber, please consider doing that as well. I'm getting real close to 14,000 subs, so I could use the subscribers. So do that if you will. And we're getting close to the end. We're not quite there yet, but I wanted to talk to you about a new channel. I'm going to throw that up there on the screen so you guys can check it out, or at least look at it when we're done, or just go to it now and save it and then come back. I got it was in the comments, I think. I believe that's where it was. Somebody in the comments mentioned this Devil's Disciples channel, and of course I was like, oh, check it out, And immediately when it came up, I was laughing, and I remember I was with my wife, and I was like, how can Murder Metal Mayhem not do something with this dude? Because it is the whole devil thing, and people freak out, and he's got the same attitude about it as I do. It's a goof. It's not meant for anything serious. But it's Devil's Disciple, because if you do Devil Disciple, or you could get other stuff. You get the movie, so Devil's Disciples is what you want. 2024, and that will get you there. And then he does a lot of Idaho 4 content. He does a lot of that stuff. What I watched was his top 20 theories, and he ranks them 1 to 20. Pretty cool stuff. He mentioned Murder Metal Mayhem in one of them, which was cool. I think he said Murder Mayhem or something like that. Not everybody gets the 3 M's, but I get it. It was still cool. But I reached out to him because I saw he only had a couple thousand subscribers. and the quality was really good, I thought, of what he did. And his presentation is fast and furious, that's for sure, but it's really good, with a lot of feeling. You can tell he's into it, which I think is really great. And he likes exploring different theories like I do. So we have a lot of things in common. And so we're going to be doing a video together, and that's going to be this Thursday. I don't have the date in front of me. This Thursday, and that'll be 7 o'clock p.m., and that's Central Time. So this Thursday here at the channel, and then we're going to broadcast it simultaneously on his channel as well. And we're going to talk. We're going to talk about some Idaho 4, but we're going to talk about this new case, which is crazy, and the fact that it happened right out there where he's from is even crazier, because I mean this is a wild one. This father, who's a former Army Ranger, he's out there doing some heinous stuff, and he's involving his daughters in this triple homicide. And he takes, I believe, the truck. Their bodies are like 75 yards away, and he's on the run. And he was headed for it's likely he was heading for the Canadian border, because he had been Googling about getting a job in Canada and moving to Canada and all this. Now, he could have been setting it up, and he could be making a beeline for Mexico. I don't know. But he's really close to Canada, so that makes sense. That makes sense to me. But if you're not familiar with the case, you really should check it out, because there's been some videos on it, but not a lot. So it's a new case, and a lot of people are checking it out. But it's in Washington State, in a state park, and he's chasing, or the police were chasing him when I was watching it earlier. Pretty interesting. Sad story, PTSD, very similar to a Brent Kopaka, Army Ranger with a lot of combat experience. Had some issues for sure, and so very, very sad. But that's, he's the suspect, but that's all. We don't know for sure. But the case is just breaking here, so I wanted to make sure I told you guys. But we're going to be talking about that, because it happened right out there where he's based, there in central Washington State. So, there's beautiful parks and stuff there. So it's a real shame that people are being told to stay away from these beautiful parks, because this guy's out there. But, he's out there, and he's a trained person. I mean, he knows how to do this. Apparently he had gone, camping, for months at a time. I mean, he was like really, really super into it. So anyway, I wanted to mention it. So you check out Devil's Disciples, they're both plural there. And we'll see about doing something with him, and talking about some interesting cases that involve mental health issues, like with PTSD, and how these issues really seem to permeate a lot of different cases. I mean, there's a lot of these people getting diagnosed with similar things. So, all right. Well, I see it's about an hour 23. So I always cut it off at an hour and a half. So we got a little bit of time left. Let me look in the comments and see if there's anything anybody wants to add here. Yeah, here's as one divided we fall. 3 unknown blood DNA not explored by the authorities says a lot. Yeah, I mean, it does. It means that they're trying to cover for somebody. That's the only thing it means. It doesn't mean they're trying to save a couple of bucks. All right. That's asinine. Let's see. Isles of Shoals, you are spot on with most things, Pete. Well, I appreciate that. And I don't expect anybody to think I'm right on everything. I mean, I know I'm not right on anything, on everything. um, it's just we're speculating. We're given what we think is the most likely thing to happen, right? It's like if your roof is sagging, and the most likely thing to happen, of course, is a leak. Well, then that's a pretty good assumption to make, but not all the time do assumptions come true. Sometimes one squeaks by you. Law of averages, you're going to get surprised. There's going to be something happen that you don't expect. Oh, here, nice one here. No question. Just want to say hello from Vermont. So thank you, Chelsea. That's nice of you. Oh, Tony's comment here comes at a perfect time because I wanted to throw this one at you. Somebody brought this up to me just last night, and I never thought of it. I teased this earlier in the video, and I told you I would tell you what it was. Nobody has ever brought up the idea of the clocks being changed the weekend before. On the 13th, or was it I'm trying to think. It was the week, it was the Sunday before. It was the Sunday before when the clocks were changed back 1 hour. Now, how many times did the clocks change and your time is wrong on your microwave for 6 months? Or the clock on your living room wall because you got to go get the ladder to go get it down to change the time. So you just leave it for a while. What about the home recording equipment? So I did some research and I found that about 50% of the home video surveillance equipment has to be manually changed. Now, you tell me, when you're at home on New Year's Day wanting to do nothing but hold the couch down, are you going to want to go get that thing, the home surveillance changed, make sure that the time has been corrected? Probably not. I know I wouldn't. I'd get to it, but I wouldn't be in a burning rush to get it done. So how many of them are off? How many of these times that we've been thrown at, I can't even watch another video with the car in it. I can't. It's becoming like a Linda Lane for me. I can't. But how many times have these cars been circulating around and these cops are trying to say, oh, this is him and that's him and this is him? How do we know those clocks on those home surveillance systems were even correct? Now you want to throw, they are already in a tizzy over there in Moscow because they know it's either put up or shut up here in a couple months. And you throw that one at them, I think you're going to have a really hard time getting definitive dates of when clocks were changed, times were changed in home surveillance systems. Because I read an article, and of course it's, surveys are surveys, but said something like 23% of people wait at least a week to change the time on their clocks. Because most of us use our phones, right? But you have other clocks in your house that you got to change, some more than others. But I don't know what you guys think about it. What do you guys think about that? Have you ever thought about the time in this one? Because I sure didn't. And I Googled it to see when it was that year, and it was the weekend before. So that would definitely be a thing. It would be a thing. So yeah, Tony, good call on that. Yeah, how we don't have a definitive video of Gower dropping him off, that's why we don't, I think, because I think he dropped him off down at the fire hydrant. I don't think he dropped him off at the house. That's my gut reaction there. All right, well, I got 90 minutes, but I appreciate you guys very much for joining me here today. Good Idaho 4 discussion. You had a good crowd. Appreciate it very much. And if you are interested to check out the live I'm going to be doing on Thursday at 7 p.m. Central, maybe doing that with Lee from Devil's Disciples. Definitely a good channel. I think you'll like it. I think you'll subscribe because you'll dig it. And we're helping the guy out. You know, I wish somebody would have come to me in the very beginning. I did have AR step up after we met, but I didn't have anybody come at me first. So I thought I would do that with him, kind of like bringing over the apple pie when the new guy moves in the neighborhood or something of that sort. So anyway, I'm glad to be working with him on this video, and we'll see where it goes from there. But so far, so good. And you guys, again, thank you very much. And I'll see you. Don't forget to hit that like button before you leave, or Donald Lembo is going to come bruise you up. So, all right, guys, we'll see you next time. Thank you.